That's right. So the higher exchange rate, particularly against the US, helps insulate us from those higher oil prices. And there's no question if the exchange rate was lower, then New Zealanders would pay a lot more at the pump than they currently do. On the other side of the coin, it's a double-edged sword because we're reliant on exports to grow our economy. So a higher exchange rate has an impact, for instance, on the number of tourists that want to come here, has an impact on those that export to markets overseas. One thing that's been helpful from that perspective has been New Zealand's exchange rate against the Australian dollar has been very competitive, and so given that's about 40% of our market, we've been somewhat insulated. But there's no question that that higher exchange rate at the moment is helping take the pressure off what would otherwise be even more highly priced petrol prices at the pump.
Do you accept that just with that headline inflation rate, people aren't going to be feeling better off, that they will be feeling that they're going backwards?
Well, I think everyone needs to take a look at the overall picture here. So about half of the inflation rate is because we increased GST, but we also fully compensated for that. And I note from Mr Goff's comment this morning, he has absolutely no interest in taking the GST increase off, and that's because he knows to do that he would have to increase taxes that people pay on their personal income. He would have to reduce benefits, he would actually have to reduce working for families payments, and he'd have to reduce superannuation payments. And the net effect, in the government's view, is that everyone has either been compensated and are the same or better off. And on that basis, we stand by what we did last year. We think it sends the right signals, and we think it's the right mix of taxes in the economy.
Government services and fees rose 6.8%, though. Does that mean government's not doing enough to help the Reserve Bank take inflationary pressures off the economy?
No, look, I mean, services are one part of our government expenditure, but we spend about $70 billion a year. So the biggest thing the government can do is get its expenditure under control. That's one of the reasons why Budget 2011 will be positive in that regard, because I think it will take the pressure off Alan Bollard in terms of interest rate hikes, because if we're not putting pressure on the economy, that helps. Now, there's a lot of other factors he needs to consider, but at the end of the day, at least we're giving support to the Reserve Bank as opposed to putting pressure on the Reserve Bank.